Hey Hylians! This video is going to be pretty different to my normal videos that I upload. It's going to be unscripted and it's kind of just my thoughts and opinions at the moment. So yeah, it's going to be a bit different to usual. I haven't done an unscripted video for a pretty long time now. It's also currently very windy outside, so I just want to apologize if you guys can hear any of that. But yeah, apart from that, let's get into today's topic, which I'm sure you can all tell what it is from the title and thumbnail: Skyward Sword for Switch. So this is a topic that I've wanted to talk about for a while now, and with all of the recent kind of leaks and rumors and listings and all that kind of stuff, I think it's a pretty good time to talk about it. Now, the best time to talk about it would have been last week when it all happened, but I am always late to the party, so we're talking about it now. Last week, there was a listing on Amazon UK for Skyward Sword on Switch, which obviously caught everyone off guard because we haven't heard about this. There hasn't been a trailer, there hasn't been any talk about it from Nintendo. The only thing really said by Nintendo about anything to do with Skyward Sword in the recent couple of years has been from Aonuma at a Zelda concert a couple of years ago, where he simply just said something along the lines of, "Do you guys want Skyward Sword on Switch?" Since then, there hasn't really been any talk about it, there hasn't really been any mention of it, so to have this game kind of pop up on Amazon randomly has got people pretty excited. Now, the listing didn't really have anything that would, I think, outright confirm the game was coming out soon, or at the date that it was listed as being released. I can't remember exactly, but it was set for 2021, so obviously not till next year. That could have just been a placeholder. But apart from that, there really wasn't anything to confirm it coming out. I think the thing that would have really confirmed the game was if it had a image of box art and the box art was new or something along those lines, but obviously there was nothing. There was just no image. The price was $69.99 or something along those lines, which is pretty expensive. Normally games in the UK are around £30 to £40, and with Nintendo games they can be up to £50, but they don't normally go to $60 unless it's like a special edition or something. I don't see too many games go for around $60, even if they are Nintendo games like Zelda games or Mario games that you can only get on the Switch and get from Nintendo. So that's a little bit more than you normally pay out for games in the UK, so I think that might just be a placeholder as well. But yeah, this listing was put up and everyone kind of freaked out. I have kind of the idea of this is maybe a game that's coming out relatively soon, like it's a game that's on its way. It is the last Zelda game, home console Zelda game, that has yet to be released or remastered. So I do think it is coming out at some point, but not really wanting to put a definitive date or year. But it would make sense if it came out relatively soon or within the next year or so. Yeah, I feel it could, but I don't obviously want to look at this listing and think, yes, it's coming out here, it's definitely certain. I think this is kind of just maybe either one, a stupid joke, or two, something that has been rumored and has been picked up by Amazon and they've popped it on there. Or it is coming, it's going to be announced really soon, and this listing just kind of got made public a bit too early. Yeah, those are kind of like the main things. Now, the listing has now been taken down. I searched it originally, and I had a look at the listing, and I saw it with my own eyes on Amazon, and it has now been taken down. It's no longer up there. You can search it, you won't be able to find it. You can click on old links to it, you won't be able to find it, it'll just come up as like a dead link or something like that. The listing is gone off Amazon. But there is listings on other websites. So over the last couple of days, there have been listings from other websites that I have seen screenshots of on Twitter that are putting up Skyward Sword on Switch. Now, this could just be following up from Amazon, and they are just putting up the game because Amazon put it up and they think maybe the game is going to be released soon and they just kind of want to get it ready. Or it could just be that the game is coming out soon and it will be released and announced soon, so they are just kind of getting them up ready for that. It's either them following on from something Amazon does and they aren't really sure and they're just kind of going with it, or it is going to be announced soon. It's really weird. But these other listings going up, it is kind of adding towards the excitement and the hype for this game. So I really hope there's something does come out of this. I really hope something does come out of this and it isn't just another rumor for us to kind of cling to. Along with these rumors, there was also a rumor for a Nintendo Direct this week. I am currently recording on Wednesday now. It's just gone it's very early Wednesday. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, almost 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm recording this. By the time this goes up, a Direct could have been announced and it could have even come out yet, but they normally come out on Fridays. At the moment it's just a rumor, but I think it would be really good timing. It does seem like really good timing that a game has kind of been leaked in a way, and now we got rumors for a proper Nintendo Direct, not just a indie or a partner showcase one like we've had before. This one has been said to be one which is like a proper Nintendo Direct with their bigger games and all of that stuff. So that would fit in pretty well with Skyward Sword. So they could either show it off in a Direct, or I think Skyward Sword would also fit into Nintendo's kind of current drop the trailer on Twitter and leave it thing. They've done this with Pikmin 3, which is coming out within the next month or so, and they did it obviously with Paper Mario, and I think Skyward Sword would fit kind of into that little group, that little kind of category. It's not a brand new game. Obviously Paper Mario was a brand new game, but it's not like a huge series. Paper Mario is a big franchise. It is has a big fan base, but it's not like the normal Mario. And I think Zelda would fit into that because this is a remake of a Wii game. I think that would kind of work. So there's kind of two ways that this game could get announced if it is coming soon, and that would be Direct or drop the trailer on Twitter. Either way, I think would work pretty well for this game. So this game's been rumored and talked about for a pretty long time now, and as I said before, it's the last Zelda game, the last home console mainline Zelda game to be ported. It came out obviously on the Wii, and it hasn't yet been ported to a new console or remastered like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess have. They all came out and they all got remasters on the 3DS and the Wii U, and obviously Skyward Sword has yet to have that happen. So it makes sense that that would be in the works to come out and get a remaster soon. And yeah, I think the Switch is going to be a good console for it to come out on, and it's just a matter of time of when. I really do think that Nintendo is planning on bringing this game to the Switch, and it is just a matter of time, and we just gotta wait. The same goes for the other Zelda games that have been remastered, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. I think it's just a matter of time before they get ported over, and I honestly will be really surprised if they do not bring those games to the Switch. So yeah, that's a different thing, but I'm pretty sure that those games are coming to the Switch, and I'm pretty sure Skyward Sword is at some point. The big thing though is Skyward Sword is very reliant, I say really reliant, it's literally the only way you can play the game, on the Wii Remote and Nunchuck. It's very motion controlled. It is entirely motion controlled pretty much. You move Link around with the Nunchuck and you use your sword use your Wii Remote to act as a sword. You use the Wii Remote to act as the whip and the beetle. You use your Wii Remote to control everything. You use the motion controls to control everything. So that is kind of the big thing that people have been talking about. That's been a big point around this game of how would they do that on the Switch? How would they do that and do it well? I think the best way to do it would be, sadly, to get rid of the motion controls. It would be weird to not have motion controls in Skyward Sword, but I think it probably would work best if they maybe tweaked the AI of the enemies and just gave it a normal standard control scheme. It would be sad to see it go, but I don't know. how they would do the control scheme too much. Obviously the Joy-Con do have kind of motion control stuff, but it's not, I think, as capable as the Wii Remote was. It's not so in depth. I have heard people say, I think it was Game Explain, the idea of giving us a special Joy-Con or a special Wii Remote peripheral thing that we could use specifically for this game, which is a cool idea, but I don't know if Nintendo would do something like that for just one game. It's kind of the big thing that people are really thinking about, like how would the motion controls would work, and I don't blame people because that's literally the only thing that I can think of. Motion controls, how are they going to do it? I really want to know how they would do it, and I really want to see how they do it. Now, moving on from kind of the motion controls and the leaks and the rumors, I want to kind of just talk about my thoughts and feelings on Skyward Sword and why I want to see it come to the Switch. I love Skyward Sword. It gets so much hate, and especially over the last few years, it's just become like a punching bag. People just take so much anger out on this game, and it makes me sad because it's such a lovely game. The story is great, the characters are great, the music's beautiful. I think it looks beautiful, and imagining how that game will look in HD is insane because I think that would look beautiful. It's all kind of based on paintings. It would look so pretty. Obviously there is problems with the game. It does kind of go on a little bit longer than I think it needs to. I do think we revisit areas a bit more than we need to, but it's not that bad. It's not, at least I don't think it's that bad. Skyward Sword was the first Zelda game that I kind of followed the development of, and I remember sitting down watching trailers and hearing all the news and watching the demos people were playing at E3, and it's kind of just crazy that that was 10 years ago. I didn't mention this when talking about the listings and stuff, but obviously it was listed for 2021. That would be 10 years after that game came out, and I think if it was going to come out, it would either be at the holiday for this year or sometime next year. And I think having it come out next year would work really well because 10 years after it originally came out, and it would also be 10 years after the 25th anniversary. It would be the 35th anniversary. So we kind of work with that. And it's kind of weird thinking that that game came out 10 years ago because that was the first Zelda game that I got to follow the development of. I'm stumbling over my words. So it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of a big game for me, not in terms of, not just in terms of how big the game is itself, but it's got a big emotional spot for me. And I think that's the same with a lot of people around my age. I know a lot of people who started with the DS Zelda games, who started maybe with Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword was that game that they followed the development of. They saw that cool artwork of Link and Fi before we knew who Fi was, and we were all confused about, is that the fairy queen from Wind Waker? Why does Link not have his master sword or any sword? And then it developed from this Twilight Princess style to this more kind of painted art style, and we saw the awkwardness of Miyamoto trying to play the game on stage at E3, bless his heart. That, oh my goodness, we watched all of that, and it's kind of it's kind of like a big moment, I think, for a lot of Zelda fans around my age who got into the series around the same time as I did, because we just all remember being so excited to follow the development of this game and to see it grow, to see it change, to be imagining, hey, we can use the Master Sword, we can use the Wii Remote as the Master Sword, we're gonna be playing as Link, we are gonna be like in his boots, we're gonna be him. Like, it's just kind of really fun looking back at that game and looking at the development and how I felt 10 years ago. I would have been, how old? 13, depending on when it comes out. Yeah, I would have been like around 13 years old, which is crazy. And I feel really old now, but wow. Yeah, it's really kind of cool to have this excitement around a game, even though it hasn't been announced yet. Because a lot of people, even though the game has been bashed down so much, there's also a ton of people who still love it. It has its problems, but every Zelda game has problems. Twilight Princess has problems. Wind Waker has problems. Breath of the Wild has problems. Do not get me started on little things I could say about Breath of the Wild. But that doesn't change the fact that I love them. I love Breath of the Wild. I love Twilight Princess. I love Wind Waker. I love Skyward Sword. And it's exciting to have a game that is... It's so exciting to have it just come back into the spotlight and to have that excitement about it coming back. And I think it'll be really cool to bring the game out on the Switch and introduce it to a whole new bunch of people, to a whole new group of people who have never yet played Skyward Sword, who perhaps got into the series with Breath of the Wild and have only played the Zelda games on the Switch. So that would be Breath of the Wild, Hyrule Warriors, Link's Awakening, and Cadence of Hyrule, if you count Cadence of Hyrule. I do, but yeah. If you're a new person to the Zelda series, Breath of the Wild has a lot of different little bits and pieces pushing and pointing towards past Zelda games. And obviously Skyward Sword added a lot of kind of lore. It added Hylia, it added Demise. And if you joined with Breath of the Wild, you don't really know that much about Hylia, Demise, the Triforce, the history of Hyrule. You don't really know all of that stuff. So having that game come out between Breath of the Wild 1 and 2, I think would be a really, really good move for Nintendo. Kind of moving on from my own personal feelings into another kind of discussion thing, but I think it'd be really good. I think it'd be really, really good to bring that game out, because Breath of the Wild is a weird game when you think of it in terms of other Zelda games. It doesn't have the conventional kind of Triforce, it doesn't have a lot of the lore. It's very place you in a world, explore, go on your own adventure. It's pretty different to follow this story of a big adventure. So bringing in Skyward Sword between those two games, those two very big open worlded games, would be really good, I think, at helping a lot of people who perhaps have only got a Switch, who have only got those games on that Switch, to talk about Hyrule more, to introduce you more to more of the lore. Because obviously Link's Awakening doesn't have Triforce, Link's Awakening doesn't have Zelda, Ganondorf, Triforce, goddesses. So having a game that does, I think would be a really good thing for Nintendo, a really good time and stepping stone for Breath of the Wild. But that's really all of my thoughts and feelings at the moment. Again, this was really unscripted, so if I think of anything else, perhaps I'll do a smaller video at another point. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to sit down, talk about the recent rumors, talk about my thoughts on the game and how it could come to Switch. I really am excited for this game. At the moment, obviously, it has not yet been announced officially, but I do feel that it will come to the Switch at some point or another, and it is just, like I said before, a matter of time of when that will happen. So yeah, we've just got to wait. I think it's coming at some point, and we just have to wait for it. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Tell me down below your own little theories, thoughts, opinions on the whole Skyward Sword for Switch stuff, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!